everyone, so today's video is going to be a story time, and it's going to be about how I got this little girl, how I brought her home and her rescue story. Obviously I've had her for a little while now, but I never actually got around to putting up her rescue story because I didn't sort of know how I was going to go about explaining it. And I said in my last video with her, the Meet All of My Pets video, that I would do a story time sort of explaining where she came from. So I'm going to try and attempt this now. So this is Holly. Holly came to us when we were looking for a friend for Jafar. We were looking around in all of our local rescues, on sort of online ads, on Facebook, and we couldn't find anyone that would be suitable for Jafar. So we knew we wanted to get him a girlfriend, we'd got him neutered, and we were looking for an older lady as well. So we did have some quite specific requirements. So it's sort of fair enough that we couldn't find a single lady in the area sort of on short notice really, because he'd lost his friend. So we were hoping to find someone pretty sharpish to put in with him. So we found this little girl on a Facebook page. It was a home run rescue, and I'd just like to say that I'm not making this video to slate this person at all. I think that she probably started this rescue with really good intentions, and I don't know what happened. Maybe she developed a health condition which meant that she couldn't cope anymore. Maybe she just got overwhelmed with all the animals. I'm not passing judgment on this lady because I'm sure that she cared about animals and that's why she set it up. I just feel like it was executed really poorly. So I did take my friend with me to go and pick her up. Obviously if you're meeting anyone off the internet you've got to be really careful, and I wasn't going to turn up at a random lady's house that I've never met by myself. And I would always recommend being really careful if you're going to someone's house that you've never met. So yeah, anyway, I'd been looking on Facebook and I found this girl advertised. I did message the lady. She sounded really knowledgeable. She said that I could always bring my guy up to meet her and see how it went. Obviously a lot of rescues offer a piggy dating service where you can take a guinea pig and they can choose their own friend. I didn't think this was appropriate for Jafar because she was probably an hour and a half drive away. So I didn't want to drive for an hour and a half, then introduce them, stress him out further, and then drive him an hour and a half back. So for me that wasn't the best option. It was a really good option, but I didn't feel like it was worth putting him through all that stress, especially because if she didn't get on with him, you know, we had other guinea pigs that she could potentially be introduced to. So I wasn't too worried. It wasn't like she's got to be friends with him or that's it. Me and my friend went up to see this lady. So we arrived at her house, and you know when you just get that feeling of sort of dread. It was like, am I in the right place? This doesn't feel right. It just felt a little bit strange, to be honest. The house was quite run down and it was just all a bit odd to be honest. So we knocked on the door and there was the most barking and the house erupted in noise. So the lady came up to the door and I sort of explained who I was and she let me in, and you sort of got hit with this, it was like walking into a wall of ammonia. The smell was just awful. My friend was gagging, trying not to be sick. It was, I'm not trying to be rude, but the smell was absolutely disgusting. It just smelt of urine, sort of cat litter boxes that hadn't been cleaned. It was just horrific. So we sort of walked in and there was cats and dogs running all around our feet. I don't know how many there were, but it was sort of overrun. All the carpets were like shredded and just soiled and really, really filthy. The house was really cluttered, and like I said, there was just droppings and poo just coating the carpet. There was cages stacked up. We only went into the kitchen and the sitting room, but there was floor to ceiling cages stacked up. The tanks all along one wall with what I assume is sort of the hamsters and stuff, and just these cages upon cages. They were really small cages as well, so the guinea pigs were in, for the most part, hamster cages. Some of them were open topped, and obviously there was cats and dogs everywhere. It was quite shocking. So it was really, really hard to take in, to be honest. It was quite overwhelming, so I basically put blinkers on and I was like, right, let's look at the guinea pigs, get in, get out. So at first we saw a young pair of girls. They were in a small open-topped cage. It was completely bare in there and they were just bedded on sawdust that was saturated with urine. I don't think they had any food bowls from what I can remember, but definitely no houses, tunnels, anything to chew. Didn't have any hay in that cage, I don't think. So I just remember being like, what? So we looked at the pair of young girls, but I didn't really want to separate to sort of a pair of girls and leave one in that situation and take the other one. And because they were young, I thought sort of they had a better chance of being adopted. And like I said, we were looking for a slightly older lady. So as much as I would have loved to have taken them home, I thought they were sort of in a better position than the others. So then we moved into the kitchen to see more of the girls. The kitchen, again, there was just cages stacked up, sort of stuff on top of the cages. She had to move the stuff so we could see the guinea pigs. And there was a big cage of girls. Well, I say a big cage, it was probably an indoor rabbit cage. But it had quite a lot of girls in it. Again, no places to hide, nothing to chew, anything like that. They did have a little bit of soiled hay in theirs though. And sort of next to them there was a hamster cage with one male guinea pig in a hamster cage. And I mean the sort of furplast hamster cages, not even a great sized hamster cage for a hamster. And that had a male guinea pig living in it. There was no way he could have ran around, or he could probably turn around, and that was about the extent of it. It was awful, to be honest. We had a look at the older girls, so there was probably 4 or 5 of them in this cage, sort of all different colours, and sort of some long haired ones and some short haired ones. So again, I think their cage was open topped with cats walking around on surfaces. It was just, in my opinion, an accident waiting to happen. Guinea pigs are prey animals, cats are predators, and they like hunting small fluffy things. Small fluffy thing. Just not a good idea. So when we asked about the older girls, she basically just handed us Holly and said, this is the one I'm looking to get rid of. So a sort of rescue that only rehomes some of them, but yeah, she basically handed her over to us and we just said, yeah, by this point we were like, let's take one out of this situation and go. Okay, I'm going to put her down, she's getting a bit annoyed. So when the woman handed Holly over to us, she did seem really sad to let her go, but then she also didn't ask any questions about sort of our setup, where she was going, what she was going to be doing, which seemed really strange, especially because on the bio of this Home Run Rescues Facebook page, she advertised as rescuing small animals to prevent them from becoming snake food. She didn't ask if I had a snake. But to be honest, she didn't speak a lot. I think she was quite nervous, and so was I. So we really didn't talk that much. She sort of handed her to us and we sort of went, yeah, that's great, we'll take her. And we pretty much gave her the money and left. She did say that her nails needed cutting, and boy did they. So yeah, we basically just took her and left. So we got Holly home and settled her into her new quarantine cage. So I left her to settle in. I tend to leave guinea pigs to settle in for probably about a week before I try and do anything with them. I just change their food and their water and their hay and let them settle in. So obviously as soon as Holly had settled in a little bit, I got her out for a health check. I immediately noticed that her nails were really, really overgrown. Cue pictures over here, and the lady had mentioned that they needed trimming, but these were quite severely overgrown, to the point where some of them were curling under and poking in the bottom of her feet, which would have been really, really uncomfortable for her to stand on and walk around on. And one had become it had grown really strangely and become misshapen and sort of squashed looking. It's just not normal guinea pig nails, sort of when you keep on top of cutting their nails. So she also had a really bad infestation of lice, and her hair was full of dandruff. She was losing hair everywhere. I mean, normally she loses quite a lot of hair. There's quite a lot of hair floating around now. Her hair just doesn't seem to want to stay in her body. But this was bad. During this time I opened up the Rescues Facebook page. So I did realise that on the Facebook page most of the sort of interaction with other people was people offering their animals to be rehomed rather than ones that she was actually successfully rehoming. On most rescue Facebook pages, websites, things like that, you see about all these success stories about where animals have gone to their forever homes and they're having a lovely time and all that sort of thing. There wasn't any of that. It was just people saying, oh, can you come pick up this animal? I need to get rid of this animal, can you take them? So I did also see that on several posts she had offered to collect animals and also to deliver animals, meaning that people sort of surrendering their animals to this lady would never actually see where they were going, and people bringing these animals home wouldn't see where they came from. Something else that I noticed on their Facebook page, they would sort of post about an animal becoming available and someone would say, oh yeah, I'll take them, and then later on they would sort of post to say, oh, I've just gone to check them and that animal's died. So I did also see that from about a year prior to me going, there was a post on Facebook about an RSPCA investigator going round. So she had sort of joked about how an RSPCA investigator had come round. So of course the night that I brought her home I couldn't sleep much. All I could think about was all of the other animals in her home and how they were living and how I knew it was totally inappropriate and what I was going to do. So me being me, almost sort of put together a rescue mission, and I was going to message her and take the rest of the guinea pigs, but then I stopped to think about it, and actually if I took all those animals she would just take in more. So what I needed to do was report what I'd seen, but then I was torn in this awkward, I know that she thinks she's doing what's best and I know she's trying to help these animals, but then the animals weren't being cared for correctly, they didn't have their basic needs met, and I was just in this sort of moral dilemma. So in the end I did report what I'd seen to the RSPCA. I sent them sort of photos and explained what had gone on. So I feel really good that the situation was being investigated by professionals and they could make their judgment, but I of course still feel really guilty for the woman that invited me into her home, and I feel like I sort of abused that trust by reporting her. She obviously cared a lot for animals, but their basic needs just weren't being met, and I couldn't, you know, sleep at night knowing that all those animals were being kept there in those cramped conditions without places to hide and not being safe from other animals. So that is pretty much Holly's story. And I never heard back from the RSPCA, so I'm not sure what happened there, but I felt like I just needed to make this video to explain about where she came from and also to give you some tips for if you're in that sort of moral dilemma of shall I report them, but I feel really guilty, but I know this is wrong. One of those sorts of things. So if you ever think you need to report a case of neglect or cruelty, here are the 5 welfare needs checklist from the RSPCA. So the first thing is somewhere appropriate to live. Obviously this wasn't being met for Holly and the other piggies there. A hamster cage is not an appropriate cage for a guinea pig to live in. The next thing is a proper diet including fresh water. Obviously again this didn't appear to be being met. One of the cages had a little bit of hay sprinkled in it, one of the cages didn't see any food bowls. Whether she took them in at feeding time and took them out, I don't know, but from the sort of evidence that I saw, it didn't look like these were being met. An ability to express normal behaviours. So for guinea pigs, this is like hiding, going through tunnels, all those sorts of things. They're prey animals, so they feel safe when they're hiding and they're sort of in little cosy places in an exposed, empty, bare cage. They don't have any way to express their normal behaviour. Also chewing, they have open-rooted teeth, which means they're constantly growing. So guinea pigs need things to chew on to keep their teeth down. So that one also wasn't being met. Any need to be housed with or apart from other animals. So obviously the cats being able to sort of potentially get into the guinea pig cage, keeping predators and prey without sort of any sensible means of keeping them apart is just an accident waiting to happen. So for me it didn't feel like that was being met either. And the last thing is protection from and treatment of any illness or injury. Obviously if any animal is injured and needs veterinary treatment, it's actually a legal requirement for you to provide that. whether it's your animal or whether you're looking after it on behalf of someone else. If an animal is in need of medical treatment, they do need to receive that. If you can't provide any vet treatment for an animal, if they're to become poorly, you shouldn't really have that animal. I know vet bills can be unexpected and expensive, but that's one of the things that comes with owning pets. So it's one of those things that you've got to bear in mind, and if you're going to bring a pet home, then they're going to need access to medical treatment at some point. So the things that I have learnt from this experience anyway is actually it's okay to report things that you don't agree with. If it's a situation like this where you really feel that the animal is being treated really poorly, it's okay to report it, and then it will go on to a professional for them to make their professional judgment. And as guilty as I still feel, it was the right thing for me to do. Also, if you're going to meet a new person and you're going to a residential address, or if you're just take someone with you, it's better to be safe than sorry, especially if you're talking to someone on the internet and then you go and meet up. Take someone with you, be safe. If you need to rehome an animal, go to the rescue, check out the place that they're going to be going to, and you need to do your research. You're entrusting them with the life of your animal. So I didn't take any, obviously, footage or photos or anything when I was in there. Thinking about it, I probably should have, to give to the RSPCA as like evidence or what have you. But also it just seems really rude. But I've pulled some photos off their Facebook page that you can see sort of in the background of what's going on with it. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. A bit of a depressing one, to be honest, and a bit of a poor situation. I really hope that all those other animals found amazing homes. Obviously Holly's with us now, so she's living a good life, so that's really good. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and click the notification bell to get notified when I post. And give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed a story time, and I will try and think of some more stories for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys soon. Bye! I'm eating your hair. Something else that I noted on their face, but